United we stand, divided we fall. God used this analogy to stop the construction of the Tower of Babel. God divided the Babylonians who were constructing the tower by confusing their tongues so that they could not understand each other. When a group of people cannot communicate effectively in one language, their unity is weakened, hence cannot work together. Initially, Babylonians spoke in one language. They had a clear aim of accomplishing and implementing their aim of building the tallest tower that would reach heaven so that they could communicate to God directly. This was a sign of trying to compete with God. In ancient Mesopotamian culture and architecture, the construction of ziggurat was common in the era. Ziggurats are pyramidal structures typically made of mud brick. They consist of a series of terraces or steps, each one smaller than the one below it, leading to a flat top where a temple was often built. They were primarily built as temples to the gods and were considered the dwelling places of deities. The ziggurat was a place for the gods to descend from the heavens to earth. The design of the ziggurat is thought to symbolize a mountain, which was believed to be a link between the earth and the heavens. This reflects the Mesopotamian view of their gods residing in the mountains and descending to the temples to receive worship and offerings. Building a ziggurat required a significant amount of labor and resources, indicating the importance of religion and the power of the priesthood in Mesopotamian society. Ziggurats played a central role in the religious, cultural, and social life of the cities where they were built. Some well-known ziggurats include the Great Ziggurat of Ur, the Ziggurat of Akkar Kuf, and the Atemenanki, which is often associated with the biblical Tower of Babel. Babel is derived from the Hebrew word Bavel, which means confusion. God confused the language of the people building the tower, leading to the name Tower of Babel. After God spared Noah, his family, and pairs of animals that survived in the ark from the flood that destroyed the whole world, Noah and his family, settled in the region of the mountains of Ararat. After the floodwaters receded and the ark came to rest, Noah and his family disembarked and began to establish a new life. Genesis 9:20 mentions that Noah became a farmer and planted a vineyard. Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, along with their wives, began to repopulate the earth. Ham had 4 sons, Cush, Put, Mizraim, and Canaan. Cush is traditionally considered the ancestor of the land of Cush, an ancient territory believed to have been located near the Red Sea. Cush had a son named Nimrod. Genesis 10:8-12. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and Calah, which is the great city. Nimrod was not only a skilled hunter, but also a powerful and influential leader in his time. However, Nimrod went against God when he commissioned and spearheaded the construction of the Tower of Babel. Genesis 11. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." It describes the intentions of the people of Babylon who were building the Tower of Babel. They wanted to build a city with a tower that reached to the heavens. Their motivation was twofold. First, they wanted to make a name for themselves, seeking fame and renown for their achievements. And second, the people building the Tower of Babel believed that by constructing a city with a towering structure, they could prevent being scattered over the face of the whole earth. This belief was based on a misunderstanding or defiance of God's command to fill the earth, as recorded in Genesis 9:1, where God blessed Noah and his sons, telling them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Instead of obeying this command, the people at Babel sought to establish a centralized location that would serve as a gathering point, a focal point for their society. They believed that by building a city with a tall tower, they could create a permanent settlement that would keep them together and prevent them from being scattered. This desire to remain together and avoid being dispersed reflects a sense of insecurity and fear of the unknown. Rather than trusting in God's plan for them and embracing the diversity and richness of a scattered population, They sought to cling to their familiar surroundings and maintain control over their destiny. God descended from heaven in response to the construction of the Tower of Babel, took notice of the city and the tower that the people were building. Genesis 11:6. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." God recognizes that the people, united by a single language, are capable of great achievements, but their current project is driven by pride and defiance. The construction of the tower represents humanity's attempt to assert their own will and power, disregarding God's command to spread out and populate the earth. God's statement reflects concern that if left unchecked, this unity and single-minded purpose could lead to even greater acts of defiance and self-glorification. The potential for collective human ambition, without regard for divine guidance, poses a risk of leading humanity further away from God's intentions for them. In Genesis 11:7, God says, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." God's plan to confuse their language aims to disrupt the unity and communication among the people. By introducing different languages, God prevents them from understanding each other, which makes it impossible for them to coordinate their efforts. As a result of their inability to communicate, the people were scattered across the earth. This fulfilled God's command for humanity to spread out and populate the earth, which the people had initially resisted by trying to stay together and build a central city. The scattering marked the end of the unified human effort and collective ambition that characterized the construction of the tower. It emphasizes the futility of human endeavors that are not aligned with God's will. The confusion of languages and the subsequent dispersion led to the cessation of the construction of the city and the tower. The project that symbolized human pride and defiance against God was left unfinished. Babel became the origin of different languages and ethnic groups. The Tower of Babel represents the pride of mankind wanting to reach heaven and be their own gods, challenging the divine authority. It represents the unification of all people in error. Because of their pride, which is a sin, the same sin that caused Lucifer to rebel, God divided them by making them speak different languages. If you find the narration helpful, please share, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more enticing narrations.